Greetings of peace and love. My name is Ram Hotep, and you're now tuned in to 13signsastrology.com. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. So, word to the wise people. Now, you have three different types of teachers. You have three different types of students. And this is very important when you're on YouTube, surfing and listening to different lecturers and teachers and things of that sort. Whether you're in college, you have professors and things like that, or whether you're involved in some form of a spiritual or occult order, you may have one that is over you, an upfront one, whether it's an imam or a minister or a rabbi or what have you. It's important that you always remember what I'm going to share with you. You have three different types of teachers, and you yourself as a student, there can be three different levels of being a student. Now you have one teacher, it's very basic. You have one teacher that's a beginner, or what you would call a novice. The second teacher is the intermediate level of being a teacher. And level 3 would be the master teacher, the master of ceremony, if you will, is what we call it in the occult. Now let me help you to understand the differences from my perspective. Word to the wise. Now the beginner teacher, what you have to remember is that you can learn from all of these different teachers. So just because you may be more of an advanced student, which I'll get into in a minute when I get into the three different types of students, just because you may be an advanced student does not mean you cannot learn from a beginning or a teacher that's a beginner. And I'm going to explain to you why. See, a beginner teacher is one who is basically a master student, and they've mastered the art of study, and they now are able to quote and say things. And not only are they able to quote and say things, but they're able to understand the information that they're saying. So they're able to regurgitate, say for instance, if they read a book, before they get up on the lecture, on the rostrum, or in front of the camera, or wherever they're at, they read a book, they're able to pretty much recite what they've just read in their own words. That's a beginner teacher. Now, an intermediate teacher is one who not only reads the books and things of that nature and are able to quote, but they're able to take unrelated topics and merge them together. So say for instance they're able to take the topic of in the field of mathematics and they're able to merge that within the field of science. And not only can they do that, but they're able to demonstrate that, and they're able to speak on that back to you and give it back to you in a way to where you understand it, so they can merge different topics together. That's an intermediate teacher. Now a master teacher, let's get into what a master teacher is. Now a master teacher a lot of times is one who, they understand the books, they're able to conform their own opinions and ideas, so they went to the intermediate level, but now they're a master teacher. And a master teacher is one who teaches you through your own experience. See, a master teacher can do several things. A master teacher can meet the student where he or she is at. So no matter if you're an algebra major in college getting ready to graduate and go into the work field, or if you're a drug dealer or some form of a slumlord, a master teacher is able to meet you where you're at and teach you a lesson based on where you're at. How are they able to do this? See, a master teacher a lot of times is so skilled at the craft of teaching and what they do to where they can teach you without even speaking. I'm going to give you an example of what a master teacher does. Now say for instance a master teacher may tell you that they're going to come over to your house and they're going to be there at 9 a.m. and they're going to take you to the store, help you to get some groceries and things like that, because you may need to get some groceries. They're going to take you to the store, help you to get some groceries, and they're going to take you back home. So when 9 a.m. comes, the master teacher won't show up. You're going to call the master teacher up like, yo, you said you was going to come do X, Y, and Z. Where are you at? The master teacher may not pick up the phone. The master teacher just won't show up. And keep in mind, you as the student, you need to get to the store to get your groceries. So the first thing you're going to do as a student is that you're going to judge the master teacher. Most students, you're going to judge the master teacher and say, oh, they lied. What kind of teacher are you? This teacher is horrible. You didn't even show up to guide me. You didn't even pick me up and do what you said you was going to do. You essentially lied to me. But the master teacher may have done this intentionally. Why would a master teacher do something like this intentionally? Because the master teacher may have been teaching you the lesson on that particular day of not going to the store and helping you to get some groceries. That may not have been the lesson that he wanted to offer you or she wanted to offer you. The lesson that he or she may want to offer you is that first, to teach you that you need to get independence and become independent and figure out a way to get to the store on your own. But secondly, and most importantly, the master teacher may have put you in that situation to judge your character and to see how you would react to that particular situation. So that's what a master teacher does. So a lot of times a master teacher is not going to just teach you what most people will call the truth. Because when people get on YouTube videos and stuff like that, everybody's looking for the truth or the ultimate truth. And I've been talking about this on Facebook. But the master teacher is not really here to teach you the truth. So therefore, the master teacher may use something called deception. And you have to follow me here, because a lot of people, a lot of Christians and different people that are very religious may, they may be like, what the hell? They may almost essentially lie to you, because you could say that that teacher that said he was going to come and pick you up, he gave his word that he was going to come pick you up, or she was going to pick you up and take you to the store. And you could say, well, you lied. You said you was going to take me to the store. You didn't take me to the store. You lied to me. But the master teacher, you may have made a pact with that teacher before that they were going to be your guide and your teacher, and they were going to teach you some things. And that was the first lesson. So the first lesson may have been that, because the master teacher wanted to see what type of character you have. So this is when you get into the next level of what I want to talk about, which is the three students. And it's the same titles for the students. You have the initiate or the beginner, you have the intermediate student, and then you have the master student. And as a teacher now, this is messages for the teachers. As a beginner teacher, you may encounter a master student. And you may just be a beginner teacher and you're up there quoting the stuff that you read. You did your lessons, you wrote your bullet points out, you did the typical public speaking format. This is what would make you a beginner teacher, as long as you know the typical format of how to write a lecture and to sound good, essentially. Or you write your bullet points out and things of that nature. So you're up there teaching, you're up there quoting the stuff that you wrote, and it sounded real good. And you may have a master student that decides to test you. And the master student may already know all of the information that you're talking about. And you open up the floor for question and answer, and the master student may ask you a question you don't know the answer to. So then you as a beginner now, you're being challenged and tested as a beginner teacher by a master student, because a master student may have already accomplished all the information that you're teaching. And they may already know all the information that you're teaching. So this particular master student may decide to test you on the information that you're teaching. So that's what a master student would do. A master student tests the teacher on the information that they're teaching to see if they know the information that they're learning and then B, to see if that teacher knows the information that they're learning. Whereas an intermediate student, let's go down the ladder, an intermediate student may just be one who is versed in research and is able to look things up and is able to find. A good researcher is basically an intermediate student, one who's really good at researching and finding things and being independent and looking for things on their own. But see, a master student is able to listen to just about anybody and get something from it. Why? Because there's constantly a test going on back and forth. They're testing the teacher as well as testing themselves to see if they know the information. Whereas a researcher is just, or intermediate student is just a researcher, one who they know this, they heard Dr. So-and-so teach that, they heard Professor So-and-so teach that, and they were able to put things together and they're on like a fact-finding mission. And they know how to research things. They have a good dictionary. This is an intermediate student. They know etymology, the science of etymology. They know how to look things up on their own independently. Now, a beginner student is one who is new to everything. They're new to everything. So when they hear something, they accept it as truth. And that's the truth to them. They're like babies. So like when you're a baby or a child and your parents tell you something, as a child, you say, my mom told me that, and I'm relying on my mom to make good on what she told me. You're a baby in it. So you believe basically everything your mom told you. Whatever it is. It's natural because you're in the beginning phases of being a student. Now, why am I saying this? I'm going to sum this video up now. I'm saying this because we have different types of people out here. On YouTube, surfing videos, getting on Facebook, getting information and knowledge on metaphysics and things of that nature. And it's important that when you encounter one, as far as when you're on the student side of things, when you encounter a teacher, it's important that you classify them and put them, in your mind into, okay, this person is a beginner teacher, or this person is an intermediate teacher, or this person is like a master teacher, able to read minds and psychic. And a master teacher has to be psychic and telepathic and things of that nature. A master teacher is able to teach and say things to people in the audience and teach them about things about themselves, and that person's like, were you there with me? How did you know that? How did you know that? That's a master teacher, because a master teacher meets everyone where they're at, and they're able to take a subject that's very complex and simplify it. That's the sign of a master teacher. But you as a student, when you're on the student end, you have to know what type of teacher you're encountering. And the next thing I want to point out is this, that you as a student cannot judge the teacher. You can't judge them, meaning that you can't make a final decision. You have to just listen to what they have to say and learn from it, because you can learn from even a fool. If a fool is up here telling you all the wrong stuff to do, guess what? You can learn from that fool. This is why, and I'm not calling Christian pastors fools, so a lot of people may think I'm about to say that. I'm not calling Christian pastors fools, but this is why I can sit here and listen to maybe a beginner teacher in Christianity, and I'm not even a Christian, and learn something from that person. Even if it's just analyzing that person's delivery, I can learn something from that person. So I'm saying that you have to keep an open mind. You have to keep an open heart when you listen to a teacher. You have to stay open for the information. And it's the same thing on the teacher's end. You have to stay open to your students and your crowd. And you have to know on which level you're teaching. A master teacher can teach as a beginner or intermediate. So you have to be able to, and I haven't done this video on shapeshift, and a lot of people keep asking me about it, but you have to be able to shapeshift as a teacher and be able to learn how to meet people where they're at. Now, the last thing I want to point out, then I'll definitely shut this video down, is this. If I tell you how to get to the store, and I give you the instructions, and I take my time, and I tell you how to get to the store, and you go to the store, and you go get a bunch of good groceries, and a bunch of good items, and a bunch of good hair products, and nail products, or whatever you may get, when you leave that store, you don't owe me half of what you bought just because I told you to go to the store, or told you how to get to the store. Now, why am I saying this? This is important here. I'm saying this because you have teachers out there, this is for you students, that feel as though You owe them something because they were your guide at a particular time and showed you the way of how to get somewhere. So you have teachers like that, and they feel as though you owe them something. What they're doing is, this is not a teacher, this is a manipulator. This is one who wants to live in your mind and manipulate you. Because if I tell you how to get to the store, I'm just your guide. I'm your tour guide. You have your own money. You work for that. You have the right to do and buy and purchase whatever it is that you want to purchase. I'm saying that because when you submit yourself to a teacher, as a student, you have to always keep this in mind. Never let the teacher own that space in your mind. Never let the teacher get to a point where they become your leader, which is different. You see, because now you're a follower. And that's why you have to be able to classify the difference between a teacher and one who considers themselves a leader or some form of a head. Because a leader wants followers. They want to control people over a period of time. And that's what they want to do. That's fine. That's fine. But if you really are looking for a teacher is going to give you information. Just like you go to college, they give you the information freely. And if you go out and make $1 million off of what they just taught you in college, guess what? You don't owe the professor a red fucking penny. You know, you guys know I curse a lot of times, Richard Pryor style. But you don't owe them a red goddamn penny. I gotta always remember that. Never let a person own you. You have control over your own space. And it can get deep with the whole teacher-student relationship, especially if you're working one-on-one with a particular teacher. You have to remember this. Because you have certain teachers out there that once you decide that you don't want them to be their guide, you don't want them to be your guide anymore, you don't want them to teach you things anymore, then they'll attempt to destroy everything that you know and to start to take away from the things that you know and say, well, you wouldn't have knew this if it wasn't for that. And they may even go out and teach other people about you and make you into an example. So as a student, you have to know your position. You have to know your place. And as a teacher now, if you're doing that to people, you have to realize, you have to ask yourself, am I really a teacher? Or am I a manipulator? Am I a controller? Am I really trying to be some form of a pimp? Or am I really being a hustler? You know what I'm saying? You have to really ask yourself that. Now you have, lastly, a group of people that consider themselves prophets. Prophets. And a prophet, according to the true definition of it, if you look up the term prophet, a prophet is a messenger. A prophet is one who is connected with the universal bodies in such a way to where they can give a divine and clear message. A prophet is one who is so in tune and so in line with the cosmic bodies that they're able to channel high information and bring it down, and they're using what's called intuition, and they're teaching off of intuition. So a prophet is not really, you could consider a prophet a teacher, but a prophet is one that they don't necessarily need a book to teach you anything. So all masters, when you deal with a master teacher, because I didn't hit this point on a master teacher has to master prophethood. They have to master prophethood. Now that doesn't mean that they're a prophet, because actually being a master teacher, you should be a step above being a prophet. See, a master can say, I'm going to teach you guys a lesson today, and you sit down in front of the seat, and they just sit there and look at you for about 45 minutes, and then the bell rings, and then you go out. And that's the lesson. The lesson may be how the class handles themselves in that particular setting. But yet and still, back to the prophet, a master has to be a prophet because a master has to know the cosmic bodies and has to know and be able to bring a message that's relevant for the times. See, a prophet is one that's raised up amongst a group of people that's able to give out information that's relevant to the times. So a prophet is a news bearer for the universe. They're totally in line with the Galactic Federation of Light or the heavenly bodies or whatever you want to call it, and they're able to give a divine, which means a clear message. So that's what a prophet is. A prophet is not one you have to follow. A prophet is not somebody that you have to swear your allegiance to. It's not a worshipful master or anything like that. A prophet just simply gives the message and lets you decide as to what you want to do with it. So they are more than a philosopher, because a philosopher is just one that gives their opinions from various different readings and from reading different literature. A prophet is one who, again, is connected with those heavenly bodies and is able to give a message that's relevant for the time to a large group of people. So why am I talking about a prophet at the end? It's because you have a lot of people that want to try to say that Ram-Hotep is a prophet, or Ram-Hotep is this and Ram-Hotep is that. And the thing is that Ram-Hotep is really actually a master teacher. And many people that know me know that I'm a master teacher, because a master teacher, see, he or she is not afraid to really make people mad at them. See, that's what a sign of a master teacher is, and that's why a lot of teachers aren't really good, because they want to please everybody. See, that's an intermediate teacher. They want everybody to clap and give them a round of applause and all that. But see, a master teacher is not afraid to make people mad. Actually, they prefer to make a person mad, because that's when you're going to really be able to give them a clear message. See, when a person's emotions rise up, and when a person gets upset or angry or get mad about something, that's when you test their character. And you get a chance to see what type of student you're dealing with as far as their character. And you get a chance to see what type of a teacher you are, as to be able to know if you can guide this person based on their emotional level. Because a master teacher is here to make good people better. So Ram-Hotep is not a prophet, even though I could be one. I'm a master. I'm a master teacher. So that's going to do it for me. That's my segment on the teacher-student relationship. And until my next video, I'll leave you in peace and paradise.